Hello everyone, I'm Robert Hisee. Most of you will know me, but for you that don't, I'm the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist. And welcome to the MindKite Podcast.
And did you finish school, Joe?
Yeah, I finished school. I done okay at school. I didn't. I think as well because I was at that time I was competing quite a lot with karate.
Yes.
So as you know, I competed. I done karate from a very young age.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into combat sports. My father took me to a karate club when I was very young, like
so
7 years of age.
It helped out in your school then.
Yeah. That helped out in life.
yeah.
So I had discipline in sport and authority in sport. So I was getting that sort of, sometimes 5 days a week of an evening. And I was interested in that and I loved that. So I think there's only so much your mind can take, especially when you're younger. Yeah. It's like, well, I'm good there. I understand the discipline there, but I didn't really
want the one at
I
school.
Didn't want it.
Yeah. It wasn't appealing to you.
Yeah, it wasn't appealing to me. It wasn't appealing to me at all,
So what happened with the karate career? Did you move on? Did you do many fights?
I started training at like the age of 7, and I think I started competing internationally when I was about 17.
Wow.
The karate club which I was brought up in was full of great athletes. It was renowned as it was in Barking Park, club called Ishinru, which was run by a gentleman called Tiki Donovan, who's OBE. And he was also the British coach at the time. And our club was like the heartbeat of karate in Europe. People from all over the world used to come to our club and train. So I was brought up around world champions, around European champions, around British champions from a young age.
So high level.
And I was the baby of the club.
My dad used to say that with football, if you play with class, you play like class. And is it true with fighting, I suppose?
The old saying, iron sharpens iron, doesn't it? Which they say in combat sports.
Oh, okay.
And I truly believe in that. So I was like the baby of the club. So I was brought up around a lot of great people, great athletes, and I fought internationally. I won national and British titles.
Wow.
And then I medalled in Europe.
You never told me that, Joe. You're dark horse. You never told me another dark horse story.
Yeah, I mean, karate was a different sport back then. I mean, karate's in the Olympics next year.
Yeah.
It was a lot rougher back then. Where it's very much changed. Like football has. Sort of football's changed from the 80s, hasn't it?
Yes, definitely.
In the 70s, it's more athletic. As is karate. Where back then it was a bit brutal. It was a bit rougher.
Yeah. And so when you finished school and you went into karate, how did you get into all like the fighters in? How did you start off?
Right, okay.
What was the joining pieces between that and there?
I think I was at school, I couldn't stay in school. And then I went to, I didn't finish school very well, but I was competing and I'm winning in karate, winning national titles and, fighting for my country. And
it must have been a good buzz.
Which was lovely. And my dad said to me, he said, you need to, put as much effort into what you're going to do with life as you're doing in sport. Yeah. And you love sport, so why don't you look for something with work, around sport? I mean, my parents, were greengrocers, working class family.
Yeah.
So I was brought up on the markets and brought up in shops.
I was talking about it with Wayne Lineker the other day. Right? Do you remember we used to get strawberries only in strawberry season?
Yeah.
People were spoiled now. You can't get a banana and strawberries on Christmas Day. You can't in the garage now.
Yeah.
Back then, I remember Mum going, the strawberries are in, and we were all excited. Get the sugar out.
Yeah. A lot of stuff was seasonal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was only out for the months.
Yeah.
So a real working class family.
Yeah.
And my parents worked very hard.
Yeah.
And it was very much instilled into me that, they knew that I didn't like school and they kind of let me off the hook a bit. But when I left school, it was like, right, you need to now knuckle down and decide what you're doing with your life,
Yes, yeah.
Because it wasn't a case that I wanted to stay on at sixth form and all that stuff. It was like, I want to get away from school. And I'd done a BTEC first in leisure management, which was like a 1-year course. And I thought, I'll get that and then I'll go on to do something. And I got that and I passed it with like a distinction.
Sick.
And then I went on to do an HND in leisure management, which was like a 2-year course, but part-time. And then halfway through after my first year at college, I then got a YTS scheme, Remember the YTS?
Yeah, I
schemes?
remember them. Yeah.
In a leisure centre, in Wanstead Leisure Centre.
Wanstead,
So, yeah. So I was working there. I was doing like part-time work there, and then I got my YTS. So I was like a trainee manager for that leisure centre, which was great because I was going to college. I could still train at the leisure centre. I got a free membership. You use all the facilities.
For free,
yeah, and then get paid my 60 quid a week.
Yeah.
You know. So I thought, yeah, that's me, and that really got me into the sports development and fitness and sports industry, if you like, from that YTS, from that first job.
So how did you get into like the management side? 'Cause I know you managed, if I'm not right, Dillian White in his early career.
I did manage Dillian, yeah.
When he first sort of come about before.
I managed Dillian up to his 10th fight, and done works with numerous athletes. You know, as you know, I'm not one to go out there and go, I've done this, I've done that.
I know every time I meet you, another story comes out, and another thing. How's he doing?
A lot of the stuff within the combat sports industry we've done behind the scenes. A lot of stuff, you know, we're proud to say that was us. You know, like the Seni show, the biggest expo in the combat sports world, so on and so forth. But
because you also done a film with him, because when I spoke to Tammy, so I know Tammy, when we got talking, and you said I've done a film with him and Dillian White, and was it even Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy was in the film as well. Yeah, we done an independent film.
What was it called, Joe?
Sucker Punch.
Any viewers out there?
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. Where can we find it? Can we find it on the web?
Yeah, you probably find it on the web. I think that Lionsgate bought the rights to it. So I think the rights come up in about 2 years' time. And funny enough, Danny John Jules, you know, the cat from Red Wolf.
Yeah. Oh yes.
He's talking about that. There's a possibility we might be doing a return in a couple of years' time when all the rights get reverted back to us.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So, but no, that was an independent British film.
I'm gonna get on that one later today, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to how I got into the events. From I finished my HND, my Higher National Diploma in Leisure Management, and then I was still competing at the time. And the people what done my YTS said there's a job coming up for the London Federation. It was then the London Federation of Boys Clubs, the London Feds. And at the time they had about 250 youth clubs, boxing clubs and sports clubs across London. And they wanted a young person to join their team who was competing in sport to actually get involved with promoting events and engaging other youth to get involved in sport.
To make the connection.
To make the connection. So I was very young for my age. I was very young for that role. Yeah. I was like 18 at the time. And I got the role as sports development executive for London. And it's it don't sound a lot, there's like, you know, youth clubs in London. But at the time, you know, the sort of late 90s, early 90s, it was quite a thing, you know, sports development. I say sports development, what like the boroughs used to do and that, it was just in its early stages.
Just new.
You know, now there's a football community scheme in every football club around the country. Back then it was only just starting. So it was like people was just realising...
You've seen the growth of it.
That you could engage young people and you could develop social skills, you know, you could help people through sport. You know, it was at the very early stages of it. And obviously I understood that because I'd kind of done that naturally growing up in a sport, you know. Yeah. And you could say, karate helped me discipline, focus, and shape me as a person, which it definitely did. So I got that role, and I had that role till I was, I think, 21, 22. And I run basically the program for London. So you're talking about 250 youth clubs.
Wow.
And basically seeing what they're doing, a lot of them boxing clubs, you know, which was great for me because it was a combat sport.
So would you say you're actually a great planner? That's sort of naturally built in you, would you say, Joe?
Yeah. I think I wanted to get involved in the organisation.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a couple of people around me at the time. There was a gentleman called Barry Neville. I always sort of go back to Barry. He's like a renowned football agent from Players Inc. And Barry was like the head of sports development in the London Borough of Redbridge at the time. And it was really through that man which opened up my eyes to what you could do in sport. So he seen me competing in sport, and I think, you know, maybe my father had spoke to him like, you know, it'd be nice to get me involved in sports, something in sport. And he kind of educated not just myself, but also Paul Alderson, my business partner with Fighters Inc., about sports development and how you can get involved with it, you know. And
how did you deal with that mentally, that young, having that sort of role? How did you? Is it just something that you just dealt with, you just got on with, or?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It was a funny thing because some of the people competing in some of the events, like the boxing, for example, they was literally like a year younger than me, and I'm running the event. You know, like the London Feds is, you know, probably the second biggest amateur, you know, boxing event in London. You know, you've got the schoolboys and you've got the Feds. Obviously the ABAs, you know, and the Feds probably sits second and has done for hundreds of years. You know, it's a big event. So, you know, you'd get like the odd, at the time, you know, the odd standoff with certain people. And it's like, no, I'm not here fighting, I'm here working. They're like, oh, you do karate, didn't you? it's like, you know, so yeah, you know, there was some weird times. But yeah, I just got on with it and done it, and it was a great learning ground. It was like sort of
foundations,
sink or swim. Yeah. I mean, my
it's your roots.
Yeah, it's my roots, and I come from, you know, a sporting background. It's not like I'm there. You know, I've been doing, you know, different sports.
And do you think people get people think like a lot of middle class people, I mean, when they think of fighters, they think of aggression, but actually, as you said, discipline in fighters, the respect between fighters in a gym, you know, I think it's actually good for kids to go to a gym and practice a martial art or boxing, because the discipline it does teach them, and the respect for each other, you know, because I've noticed all my mates growing up that were great boxers, they weren't the bullies in the school.
No,
do you know what I mean? They were like, they didn't have to prove themselves to no one, and I find...
No, that's right. I think
fighting's got a if it's trained, not let them just roll about in the playground, but bring them into a gym and teach them discipline and the respect of fighting. I think it gives people a lot more confidence and focus. And
yeah, definitely, and it's an art, isn't it? At the end of the day,
it's an art. Yeah,
you know, boxing is an art, and martial arts are arts. But
people that ain't into fight don't understand the technicality behind it. You think you're throwing shots, but it ain't. You've got to think about the return, the counter, the
Well, I think people, what you were saying, alluding to there, people from a middle class background don't necessarily understand them working class sports.
Yeah.
You know, like someone they prefer rugby to football, where it's natural for working class kids to play football. You know, you play at the flats, play on the estate, you know, and you crack on. But
and you know, I think it was 200 years ago. It was our national sport in the UK, and even members of Parliament boxed.
Yeah.
And now it's near like it's quite dying out really a little bit. The boxing industry, I sort of think, compared to how it used to be. UFC's taken over now, quite getting. It's getting bigger because I think it's more versatile, and you've mixed up all the martial arts into one. And
I don't think I think on a global stage, boxing is it's still massive. Like the big fights are still massive. Yes, MMA is probably the fastest growing sport in the world, and the TV coverage. Which
I remember when I first see MMA, UFC, and I remember thinking, that ain't real. I used to think like the American, the Wallies that jump around and make out the wrestling. I thought, that ain't real blood. I remember my cousin, they can't hit each other bare hands, and my cousin went, it's real. I watched the old video, I thought, that's moody, man, that's moody blood. I thought, technology's getting good. I weren't having it when I remember watching it. My cousin was going, I'm telling you, mate, it's mixed martial arts. But it's mad, isn't it? And now like,
it's what, 20, maybe 26 years old now, the UFC, I think last year was the 25th anniversary.
Wow.
So that time's just flown.
Yeah, it has gone quick. And so how did you get into the UFC side of it, Joe? From doing like your fighters and your boxing? How did that connect?
So basically from 97 is when I started working for myself, and Paul and I created Fighters Inc., which was...
what made you do that? Don't mind me asking. What made you just?
Funny enough, you say that, Rob. I was supposed to fight at the World Games in Brazil, and I was carrying quite an injury. And my role with my work, they always let me have time off work to compete. And they turned around and said, "No, you can't have time off work this time around. We can't accommodate you. You've got to run this event." And that's that. And I was like, "No problem. There's my resignation." Thank you.
My passion's coming first at the end of the day, yeah, always.
And that was it. And literally the next day, it was like, I was carrying like a bad injury.
How you felt at that time? What was like the emotional experience when you got pulled into that?
It's good question. Frustrated.
Frustrated.
Very frustrated. Funny enough, going back to authority.
Yeah.
I didn't because I think I got a written warning that if you compete in this event, it was literally if you compete in this event, you will be on a final warning or whatever it was, or you will be dismissed from your role.
You can
and it was like, lovely, keep your role.
Yeah.
You know. So, but frustrated.
I love it though. I love it. It's good though because that frustration has created you to, take a stand and create your own
destiny.
Yeah, your own destiny.
I mean, I always had it in my head that down the line I wanted to work for myself. I always knew whilst I was at the federation, even from like 18, 19, 20, I didn't want to work for somebody for the rest of my life. I grew up watching my parents work for themselves, and the successful people which I see in life, at that age was the people what was doing their own thing.
Yes.
They wasn't the 9 till 5 people.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are successful in 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I don't want that to come across ignorant.
No, I understand.
But the people which I see was flourishing.
I always say to if that's your vision, like if you get a teacher at school, yeah, and since they were a little kid they wanted to be a teacher, that's fantastic.
Of course,
that's the vision. They've created the vision, and it ain't about money. They're living a life that they've got a connection to, and that's fine. That's brilliant. But if you're a teacher doing it just because, I've done good at maths, I've become a maths teacher. And that's what a lot of them say when I ask them, why did you become a teacher? Then there's just no creation there. And I think, the schooling system takes away a lot of our creativity. They say the teachers, the old concept of school is how not to make mistakes. Yeah. And I think you get a little 4-year-old, I've said this a few times now, you get a little 4-year-old kid, you go, what do you want to be? They want to be a spaceman, I want to be a rocket man, When you're a kid, you're making out your Spider-Man, you can in your head, you're visualising the web flying through the air. And then you get, then as soon as they got imagination, they're creative. Then when they start school, it's like, don't draw in your book. This is how you spell, this is how you write, this is how you colour in, this is how you shade. And if you don't do it how I'll tell you, I'll mark you as an F. And the little kid goes, what's an F? And you go, it's a failure, miss. Yeah. So all the kids 1,000 kids in the school got to be the same person, or they're made to feel that think that they're stupid.
See, if I would have got told in school that you do this, you'll get an F.
Yeah.
If that line was put there, I'd go, lovely, thank you, I love the F.
Yeah, just to say you ain't pushing, you ain't going to put me into nothing,
Yeah, and
I don't care.
I was like that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was like that.
Not saying that was right, but I think, as I say, I had that discipline in the karate club. And then come school, it was like, because I wasn't that bothered, it was like,
no way.
I wasn't having it.
But so when your kid leaves school now, you see the kids leave school at 18, you go, what do you want to be? They've got no vision, because the schooling system has made them focus on this journey now, not to make mistakes so much. They go, I don't know, I've got to think about it, I don't know what I want to be. They're all fearful. I mean, there's a song that John Lennon wrote, Working Class Hero, and the lyrics are brilliant, as soon as you're born in, make you feel small by giving you no time instead of it all. And if you listen to that song, if anyone at home, it's a tune. And it's about the working class mindset. And
I know.
They hurt you if you're clever. They despise a fool. I can't remember the lyrics now. It's saying about they expect you to follow their rules. It's really good. It's really good lyrics. But it always sits deep with me, that song. And
so do you take that in your working life? Do you relate to that in your working life?
That song, in my whole life before I was even doing the Mind, that song always resonated with me. The working class hero, because right, okay. Yeah, it's just. I can't think there's room at the top, they're telling you still, but first you must learn how to smile while you're killed. Just all the lyrics in there are just amazing. But when you think, I said, they hurt and they taunt you for 20 odd years. That's the bit I love. They hurt and they taunt you for 20 odd years, and then they expect you to pick a career, but you can't even function because you're so full of fear. And that really resonates with me with life in general and school. And I think when kids leave school, that's what they're like. They're all full of fear, and it shouldn't be like that because they take away the vision. And I think people like me, like you, and like people on this podcast, majority of them said they didn't like school.
Most of them,
yeah. We've got someone coming on next who's going to go and fuck that all up for us. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you are or not. This is exactly the point that I want to get at. It don't matter if you're academic or not academic. But you have to have vision. Yeah. And the problem with academic intelligence for most people, I'd say 90% it loses their vision, seeing what they want in the future. Yeah. They're trying to figure out how not to make mistakes, how to get a safe life, how to get a safe job. And, you know, most people hate their job and scared of getting a sack. So, but what I was trying to say is academic intelligence is brilliant. I wish I could be more academic, make my life a lot fucking easier, Joe. But without vision, it can ruin you, really. You know, so exactly what you said, like, it ain't about looking down at anyone if you want to go work, but find the job that you love. You know what I mean? It's okay, whatever you love.
That's what I was. That was sort of embedded in me from a young age. And it's funny you spoke about that song, because there's a certain poem which was a favourite of my father's. Yeah. Which was the Rudyard Kipling poem "If."
Don't know it.
And there's certain phrases within that poem which like stick with me. There's a phrase in it which says, "You can walk with kings nor lose your common touch," and that for me, I've always tried to keep that philosophy with anything I do. You know, you can be with the poorest of the poor, or you can be with the richest of the rich, but you be yourself. Exactly. You know, and you adapt accordingly. And with my work, that is been the case. You know, I could be in somewhere like this. You know, I mean, this is a friend of mine's gym. You know, Body Shots over here in Crayford. Yeah. And you know, there's working class young people coming in there training, trying to build a career in boxing, and I'm the same with them as I am with. You know, a CEO of, you know, with Dana White. Yeah. You know, exactly the same. So it doesn't... Come on, mate. You can't drop that name now and tell me some stories about Dana White. You can't get away with that one, Joe. I forget. You know, this is what you're... the same. But not Dana. You know, it could be whoever. But amazing, you know, though, yeah. It could be whoever, amazing. You know. But I mean, it's amazing how connected you are. As you say, you should know everyone in the background. You're like that. What's his name? Clarence. I was telling you the other day. What's his last name again? Clarence. Come and help me. Clarence Avant. Clarence Avant. You're like an English Clarence Avant in the fight world in the background. Do you know what I mean? You seem to be connected to no one, but everyone. I mean, but you know, you give someone talk to you like fucking hell. Said that. Yeah, you know this. And there's a certain person. But you're that sort of character. Podcast what said that. Yeah. Colin Francis, DJ Colin Francis. Yeah. I know he's coming on. Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one. Colin and I grew up with each other. Yeah. But. He dropped that one to me when... yeah, it's true, mate. And you're like the sort of guy, you like to connect people. Like. Yeah, I think it's important. It's important, but it's karma as well. It comes back round, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. You give them and you receive. Like, you've introduced me to people. Yeah. You know, and I introduce you to people, and then it's like, oh, I didn't know you knew this one. I didn't know you knew this one. You know? You've introduced me to some bangers. I've got to say, it's unbelievable the ones you've opened up. But yes, I really appreciate that as well, Joe. You know, no worries. It's good, and it's weird. Like it's the more I seem to meet good people and get in a good vibration and do good things, like you said, the more I give and help others, the more I meet good people that are doing the same thing. It's like I think you just connect. Yeah, karma. You just connect to the same energy. Like attracts like, literally. Yeah, obviously you get the odd shit bag. Yeah, you know, but you just put them to the side. They'll always come in and move out. They won't be there forever. They get out of the way. Yeah. So about the UFC, the UFC gyms. I mean, you've got that's you. You're the main man. You and your partner Michael Bisping, world champion UFC fighter. Yeah. You two are the main men in the UK. You've actually that's it. If anyone's UFC UK, is there 4 of us? Okay, yeah. Sorry. So there's 2 sort of silent partners. Okay. Who come from a franchising and leisure industry background. Yeah. But yeah, Michael, not dropping names, Michael Bisping. You know, I've worked with Michael for a number of years. Behind the scenes, I've been involved with Michael's, you know, some sponsorship deals, some corporate events, fight camps. You've been out there, Vegas with him and everything, couldn't you? Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah. I like seeing them after parties. But we're friends. Yeah, you're pals. Well, I've literally done every one of Michael's after parties. You organised them all, yeah. Yeah. So you know, so we knew each other through the fight industry, you know, from before he was with UFC. Oh, okay. And funny enough, we laugh about it because when I first met Michael, I watched him fight a guy called Mark Epstein. Yeah. And it was a great fight, and he won it. And I see Michael backstage, and I started talking to him. I give him my card, and I was like, "I'd love to manage you, mate." You know, And I never heard from him. And like his trainer at the time, kind of took the card and put it to the side. We was doing a lot of events with K1, you know, which was like a big Japanese promotion at the time. Like kickboxing events, and never heard from him. And then I bumped into him again a number of years later, and I was like, "You never phoned me." He was like, I never got to give your card back. Like, his coach must have took it.
And just put it aside.
Like, I'm keeping him to myself. And, but yeah, so I've done lots of work with Michael over the years. And then Michael moved to America and he got involved with UFC GYM in Costa Mesa in California. I know you like California.
I love California, so I'm ending up. That's my place, my spot.
And so him and Cub Swanson, who's another UFC athlete, invested in UFC GYM in the States, and they've become partners within the brand. So there's a few athletes within UFC who have invested into UFC GYM. So UFC GYM is, half owned by UFC, and also half owned by a company called New Evolution Ventures. Okay. Who's the CEO of that is a guy called Mark Mastrov, and he's one of the owners of Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
And Mark is like a legend within the leisure industry. He's the man which set up 24-hour fitness from scratch in the States and sold it for, I don't know what billion it was, but a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then teamed up with Dana and the Fertitta brothers to create UFC GYM. So.
And what's he like, Dana White? You've met him?
Dana and I have spoke briefly, over the years.
Yeah.
The first time I met Dana, he actually come to one of my events. He jumped on a plane. We done an event called the Seni Show, which was like the biggest expo for the combat sports industry. At its height, we'd have like 30,000 people over a weekend at the show. It's like the ideal home exhibition, but for the fight world.
Yeah.
And I think he flew over with Chuck Liddell and Lorenzo Fertitta in around 2000, maybe 2002. And then they literally kind of replicated what we done over here in the States, and then they based it around a UFC fight week and fight show.
Yeah.
And then I think 2007, 2008, when UFC launched into Europe and set up their office in London, they actually sponsored that event for us. So they was the title sponsor of the Semi Show for 2 years on the spin. And that we kind of opened the gateways politically, because a lot of politics in combat sports, as you know.
Yeah.
It's not always smooth. We kind of help smooth the way and give them a profile within the UK for when they launched in the UK and Europe. But going back to Michael, he invested in the gym in the States, and then we was having a beer one day and just said, wouldn't it be lovely to see the brand in the UK? He's living in America, and it was like, if we don't do it, if we don't try to do it, and I say try because it was a big
thing, that is,
this was 2015, by the way.
You remember that conversation like yesterday, obviously, as the changing point.
Yeah, we was having a beer, sitting there having a beer, and we was talking about 3 or 4 clubs, 3 or 4 UFC gyms in the UK, and we was naive really, because it was like, oh yeah, we can do that.
After
a couple of beers,
couple of bags up,
and not actually realising the depth and the legalities, and the franchise model of how it works. We was just really talking from a fan's perspective and a promoter's perspective and a fighter's perspective, that wouldn't it be great, as fans of the brand, because we're both fans of the brand, so went away and spoke to Adam Sedlak, who's like Mark Mastrov's right-hand man, about the UK market, and it was like, well, we've got a number of people which are trying to basically purchase the license for the UK, and some of them operate big operators in the industry, and he's like, to be fair, you and Michael are not going to be able to do it. Even though Michael's who he is.
Wound you up your authority thing, didn't it? I bet you.
Yeah,
you went the other way.
It was great. It was great.
Best thing he could have said to you.
Best thing he could have said to me, because I went, oh really? Put the phone down, and then I was on a mission.
Yeah.
I was finding my team.
I'm doing the opposite for that. Yeah, this is happening.
Exactly that, Rob. Exactly that. I went the other way. So I was like, okay, no worries, I'll be back to you, And I think I was like working on it for a year really. And the other company which was trying to get a deal over the line, they was backwards and forwards with legals, and because it's a big deal.
It's a massive.
It's a big deal. There's a lot involved with it, and I was lucky. I got introduced to 2 people who come from a leisure and franchising background, and also wanted to invest in the project, and also asked Michael, and does Michael and I want to invest in the project as well? And at the time, before then, Michael and I was like, oh, we'll get someone to put money in and we'll just arrange it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not like that. And if you believe in something, it's when someone asks you that question and you've never thought about it before, which we didn't, it was like, oh, like another bump in the road. We can either turn back here or go forward and put our money where our mouths are.
Yeah.
And we discussed it and we was like, do you believe in it? I believe in it. We're in as well.
Brilliant.
So we both, you know, like I, you know, put my neck on the line financially with it. And Michael, you know, has invested as well. You know, obviously Michael's done very well with the UFC. And the two partners believed in us and we believed in them.
That's quite.
And we've like
you've got to share the same vision, haven't you?
We all share the same vision, and we've become like one big family, you know.
And I like to put this because I talk a lot about visualizations, and people I always talk about people having your own vision, but sometimes it ain't always about having your own vision. It's about seeing the vision. Like your friend can my business partner Jamie Kerr come to me with the app with MindKite, and I could see it clearly. You know what I mean? To the point it done my head in. I was thinking, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
It's so I can see it so clearly. It was as if it was my vision.
Yeah.
And I think that's most important with businesses. And as long as your partners have got the same vision, if you're just looking for money, I think that's when things can get. We all want money, but you know you've got to have that clear vision and feel that emotion of that pulling feeling. Do you think, Joe?
Yeah.
It's like that. You know you're taking a risk, but you get that. It's sort of like a magnet.
But it's that commitment, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that is commitment. I mean, initially, as I said, we was.
So when you made that, I know I asked this, but I just want to ask because there's other people I've spoken to on the podcast that I want to model at the end. And how did you feel when Michael said like you put your money back, or they said put your money where the mouth is? How did you actually feel at that point? Did it feel good inside of you? Did it feel like right?
It was a big question mark.
Yeah.
From them, because we was going to them to invest in the project. They said, yeah, we want to invest. They said, we want to invest. Do you and Michael want to become partners? And do you want to invest as well? And it was like a bit of a wake-up call, really. Yeah.
Because this is real.
Because I'm the middleman, aren't I? I'm the guy what joins the dots. You know, I'm a promoter. So I joined. Obviously, when you do events, you put your money up front and you go. But this was a bigger project.
How did that feel then?
You know, and it was great.
Felt great.
Like, it was
you knew straight away.
It was like being on a roulette table and going all in on black.
Yeah.
You know? So it was like, let's go. Let's do it. It wasn't, it wasn't a long drawn out.
So when you make your business decisions in your life and you look at the ones, do you get a feeling of like, it's going to work, or you get a feeling of goodness? Or how do you know the difference between a good decision or a bad decision? How do you know like you should do it or you shouldn't do it?
I think they're very, for me, they're very direct. Yeah. Gut and direct.
Yeah.
I could make a decision now and that's what I'm doing. You know.
And how does
I don't.
So is there an emotional sureness or emotion?
If I'm hesitant on something, I won't do it.
I gotcha.
So
if it feels right, you know straight away.
I'm in.
And what's that feeling like when it feels right? Is it just like a?
It's gut and mind together, working together.
Feel it.
Yeah, you just feel it. And spiritually as well. Like it feels good.
Yeah, it feels good.
You know, it feels good. Yeah, and it feels right.
That's really
if it don't feel right, I won't do it.
It's really
Not
interesting
in a million years.
Because on one of the podcasts before this, we spoke to Wayne Lineker, I asked him the same question, and he said, "I get an excitement." He said, "If I don't feel it, I won't do it." And he said when he first see Lineker's bar, the one he looked at all bars up and down Tenerife, and he said when he got to the front of, he got out of the car, see it, and he said, "Didn't even go in there." I said, "The 3 round winners." I went, "I'm having it." He went, "You ain't been inside yet." He went, "I just knew, I felt it." I went, "No, I want it."
Yeah.
You know, he said,
I understand that excitement.
Yeah, that feeling when you just get a connection. That energy connection.
I'm not like overly emotional, I don't really show my emotion to that much, but inside, like sometimes I'm holding myself back. We've been to see sites and I'm, for the gyms, and I'm like, this is going to be amazing.
Inside,
Yeah.
Poker face, they call it, the names of business. Yeah. That's the gift of a good businessman, isn't it? Inside you're thinking, cha-ching, I see. Take a few quid off it, we might have a deal.
But the excitement, definitely. Yeah. I understand that. So we ended up signing that was 2015, and then in 2018.
But that was exciting.
We announced on Fight Week of UFC that UFC GYM was coming to the UK. And we've got 2 gyms open now, one in Nottingham, one in Woking,
And Nottingham was the first one, is that correct?
Nottingham was the first one in Europe.
Remember when I first met you a few years ago, you said, I'm opening it up. Was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
And you said, it's
coming.
It's coming, it's opening up. Yeah, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's
fast forward.
Up. Yeah, fast.
Yeah, that's open. That's nearly been open a year now. A year. I think 9th of November this year is a year.
And the second one's Woking.
Second one was Woking, and then we're just starting to build on the third one in Medway, and then we've got about another 3 lined up for the beginning of next year.
Wow.
And then
fast and furious then.
And then you're going to start to see them pick up, and we start franchising in the new year as well.
I see a study once on franchise. They said it takes normally, whenever they looked at all the great franchise companies, that normally it takes the first 3.
Correct.
Then they've got it. Then they reckon they've got it consistent, and now then they can just go bomb.
It's about repetition.
Yeah, it's just getting that first 3 days.
So I'm learning that.
Yeah. You can see
my
you can see the
learning curve
develop.
has been through the roof.
Yeah.
But one of our partners is he's been in franchising, and that is exactly what he says. When we get to 3, you'll see the change.
Yeah.
But I would say that we're on a third one now, which we're starting to build, and I would say the improvement on that facility, and first of all, is probably about a 25% improvement on Nottingham, and then operationally, I'd say we're
25 improvement, yeah.
Probably 50% improvement operationally for when we start, from what we've learned.
And
because we've learned the brand, because the brand is new to the UK.
Yeah,
people don't understand it, and we've got to like any brand from America, it comes to the UK, you've still got to make it local.
Yeah.
Whether it's Dunkin' Donuts or they have a different menu in America for Burger King they do in the UK. It has to adapt locally.
Yes.
And we've spent the last year adapting what we do from what we had from America.
Yeah,
make
it British a little bit. Yeah.
Of course you have.
Because I think they're in the front with their mindset on a lot of things. I believe the Americans, like I've studied with all like the world's greats in California, and their mindset learnings are so much advanced in front of us. We're still using fucking Freud from 200 years, 150 years ago. When you're going to learn, if you, not about boxing, I always say this to people, why are we still using this Freud shit to talk about the past? Let's go and live in the past, yeah? Talk about your problem. Well, that was 100 odd years ago, yeah? 100 years ago, say. Where if you had got a boxer, for instance, right, as we were in a ring now, and you've got a boxer from the 1800s, and he stood up and went like that against Anthony Joshua and started, that old school, it'd be a joke. He'd get knocked ironed out, wouldn't he? Because technology's changed, the minds, the movements we've learnt movement, everything evolves. What pisses me off is psychotherapy don't really fucking evolve, and the bits that they do learn to evolve us, like the reticular system, which they discovered, it actually goes against all that Freud stuff. What you focus on, you become. Is the reticular system. It's a group of neurons at the bottom of the brain that works the filtering system. I talk about it at the beginning of the podcast. So if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and have a listen. But it proves the more you keep saying I've got anxiety, the more I'm anxious, the more this filter in your brain, once that clicks in, it starts to look for evidence every part of the day, and it will take in information and reframe it as it to be. So someone might be looking at a car across the road, but in your brain it's taking, he's looking at me because I look ugly. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think looking forward is so important.
Definitely.
Jimmy Irvine, who created Beats with Dr. Dre on his documentary, The Defiant Ones. I love a documentary, Rob.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm the same as well.
I learn, and
you don't know him as well, Joe. For me, you've probably got a connection in there.
I've got one coming. But in the beginning of his documentary, he says, he never uses the rearview mirror. He's driving his car. Down, I think it's in California. Yeah. He's driving his car. He said, I never use the rearview mirror. I never like looking back on what I've done. I want to look forward on what I'm doing. That's
exactly it.
And it's so important. And
how I got into his podcast throughout the lockdown, I remember you said you watched a few. It was all about, when the lockdown hit, that was the whole message of them were, focus on what you want, not what you don't want.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Focus on being healthy. Don't keep focusing on fucking coronavirus and being ill. Yeah. Focus on health. You know what I mean?
What people do, they say they want to lose weight or get fit.
Yeah, lose weight. You want to be thin, really.
Or I've got to get fit.
Yeah.
Or I wanna. I am.
Yeah, I am. I am's the one, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you're owning it. Look at mine with Delhi.
Yeah. I think that, have you seen there's a chart which is it gives a percentage on how you actually verbally say something.
And what
like if it happens.
Yeah, and I understand that.
So it's really if you say I want to,
Yeah, you're in the vibration of want. You're actually commanding your... So your unconscious hasn't got a filter. Like, if you said to me, Rob, I want to lose weight, in communication language, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But when we self-talk, the unconscious ain't got the fucking filter. So when you keep saying to yourself, I want to lose weight, I want to lose weight...
You're not doing it.
It starts to create you as something... It takes that as a command. Like it's got autism. Okay, you want to be someone that wants to lose weight, so it makes you fatter. Do you know what I mean? More people that keep wanting to say, I want to lose weight, get fat. They don't get thin. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'll have to send you this list, though. I've seen this list.
And this
from it's
I'd like to see it.
It's actually from a sports physio who I know, and he's got a list because it's more about competing in sport.
Yeah.
And it
that
basically
to me resonates
goes from
to me completely.
I'll try. It goes from I try to I'm doing
good.
basically.
I am.
And there's a percentage next to each word.
Because this all goes back to the reticular activating system. That the language you say to yourself, you have to talk in the outcome. The unconscious mind. So words are the language for the mind. Feelings is the language for the body. And if they're not fucking in sync together, it ain't working. So when you're saying I am, the unconscious likes to know the outcome. So you can't talk it in want or like, oh, you know what I'm going to do, Joe? You have to when you talk to yourself, you have to visualise the outcome of being in that body you want. Yeah. And you have to say, I am going to be there in 6 months. I am. Like, look at Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. I'm going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world. I'm the greatest boxer I've ever seen. You couldn't get any bigger I am than that. And he was saying that when he was 18, wins the Olympics in Rome. I mean, I tell this story loads because I love Muhammad Ali. He's one of my icons. And when I studied him, looking at the age of 12, he said, in my mind, when I started boxing at the age of 12, I used to visualise myself every day on the bags, world champion, by mum and dad house, holding up the WBC. Yeah. He said, when I went out running, I'd be visualising myself. He said, there weren't no tellies, there weren't much on telly back then. So my telly was in my head. So he said, I visualised every day. So time, and what people don't understand is you're rewiring your mind. You're actually building a new it's called neuroassociation, a new neuroassociation to who you are as a person. So that people start to studies show that you start to feel like a world champion. Yeah. That's why like Colin McGregor put like, I'm going to knock him out in the third round. They own it because they've seen it so many hundreds of times in their head that the unconscious doesn't know what's wrong with it, isn't it? So it's like, if you close your eyes and visualise, you get the feelings of having that greatness now. But most people only look back and think about what went wrong, and then they keep accessing the pain.
Or what they've done good.
Or what they've done good,
Even what they've done good.
That's not a good thing,
That's not a good thing.
Because
I know a lot of,
I like that, Joe.
Combat sports people, like Paul Alderson, who's been my business partner for years. Paul is a prime example. He was world champion. Yeah. And if I was to say to him, something about him being world champion, he'd go to me, don't tell me about that. Yeah. Like, he's that blunt. He's like, that was in 1990 something. Yeah. He was like, I don't want to keep going back there. No. He's a prime example and someone that has never sort of bragged or give it the big and about what he's achieved.
With vision.
He's like, I want to do this now.
Yeah, he's got his next goal. Yeah,
I want to do this now.
Because what I say to people is, if you look back on something that you once done good, it's just a look. You ain't going to get a good. So say if someone's overweight, right, and they go, put a picture on the fridge what you want to look at. Now you can get the logic behind it. Yeah. But what really happens is you look back at that picture of how good you looked, and you say to someone, you know what? I know I felt good back then. What are you saying about yourself unconscious in the moment? Yeah. I don't look good now.
That's right.
If you actually code that language, so you're smiling with your conscious mind, but unconsciously you're getting this low self-worth feeling. I know what, I had so much energy back then, Rob. Their voice starts changing. You know what, it's such a good time.
And the deep breaths.
Let's go and get a burger. Let's go and get a biscuit, I'll tell you. So, you got to look forward, you got to look to where you're going,
But that's living, isn't it?
That's life,
In my opinion, what you're saying there is living. If you're not doing that now, you're not living.
You're not living, no. You're a creator. Human beings are creators, is what we do.
Right, hunters.
It's true, isn't it? It's what we do. We look, we create, and then we make it happen.
Yeah, definitely.
So what would be your biggest bit of advice for young entrepreneurs and people in business and promoting and planning especially? What would be Joe's sort of big pictured advice you could give them? Just like a few lines. What would you say?
It's probably don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, don't be scared, and don't put limits on yourself.
Don't limit yourself.
Don't be scared and don't put limits on yourself.
Okay.
Because you can always push yourself, can't you? Yeah. You can always go again. If I done a circuit in here today, and I done it in 20 minutes, I'll come back next week. I can get that down to 18 minutes to 15 minutes to.
So you keep pushing
12 minutes.
Just keep having pushing. That forward.
And for me, you know, listen, I'm not saying I've made it. You know, I've not done bad in life, and we're doing a good job. What we're doing, anything can happen in life, Rob. Can't it?
Yeah.
But
well, look at this COVID shit. It's, you know,
right.
Anything can be.
But I think persistency is key.
Yes.
You know, persistency. Like my wife is a bit of a woodpecker. Like when she goes on, I call her a woodpecker. But if you're
she's lovely, by the way.
If you're a woodpecker with work, just keep going. Just keep tapping away, even if it's little bits. Just keep tapping away and you'll get there. I think the persistency is key.
There's that saying, successful people do what other people don't want to do. That's what makes them successful.
But once you say, I'm done.
Yeah, it's your choice. Yeah.
You know, you could be 99% there to get where you want to be. Couldn't you?
Yeah, just that one little step.
And that one step where you go, no.
Yeah, you could just about to break the surface and then...
I'm going the other way.
Yeah, I couldn't live with myself, could you?
No, not for me.
And what I liked about Johnny Nelson told me something, and he said that whenever you do have a loss, this is stuck in my head for some reason. He said, Brendan Ingalls said, you've got to get back in and win one. You cannot leave boxing. But he said, look at all the fighters. And I forgot the names he told me, like big names, like, I forgot who fought Muhammad Ali. All the boxers that ended their career on a loss and never got back in. Yeah. He said it affects your life after you leave the ring. And all these people that died of alcohol and, you know, didn't have these great lives. Yeah. But the ones that... So he always taught his fighters, Brendan Ingalls, you're always going to have to come back in. If you get a loss, you have to... Don't ever give up on a loss. And like, look at... And it made sense, because then I thought about... what's his name? Not Amir Khan. Who did Brendan Ingalls have? I mean, Brian's going to... Prince Nassim. Prince Nassim Ahmed, yeah?
His son's going to be a superstar, by the way.
Even though he... Is he? He must have, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So when he lost against Pereira, it was sort of... But he, if you notice, he did come back and have a quick fight, knock someone out, and he left... He, you know, Brendan put it in all of them, I think. I think it's a clever... And I think that's the thing in life. Don't never give up on a loss. Just always take that information and go again.
That's transferred to business, isn't it?
Yeah, in business, and that's what he said. In everything you do in life,
in your relationships.
Yes,
you know,
this is what he was trying to put the point.
If you don't want to lose that relationship, you keep going. You keep working at it. You know.
Yeah.
So
relationships,
consistency.
Treat each other like you did at the beginning, and there be no end.
I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good, isn't it?
I like that one.
Because it is hard, you do, don't you? In relationships, you get used to people. You start, when you first meet someone, you put your aftershave on, so you smell the best, your best bit of clobber, then you take them for the nicest food. You find all your five senses. You know, you say the nicest words, you know, you look as good as you can, you touch them. And then like 3 months later, you're like, oh, you know, babe, would you like a drink? Yeah. Okay, yeah, anyway, 3 months later, you're like, babe, get his beer out of the fridge, and you're scratching your nuts in your pants, watching a bit of football or something. How's it all changed? Yeah. Yeah, I'm always fucking paying. But it's true, isn't it? But you've got to get up and go and get them flowers like he used to do and do them little things. Even if you don't, like, I'll do it sometimes, and that sounds bad, but I sort of grudge it. I'll drive all the way to fucking thing, get them flowers. No one's making me do it. I'll go and get them now and again and then bring them home, because I know it's worth it. Do you know what I mean? It just keeps it going. So
no, I like that saying.
We've gone from fighting to talking about relationships.
Lovely. We've gone from fighting to flowers.
Yeah, to flowers, yeah. Belter. So Joe, I'd like to thank you very much, mate, for coming on, and thanks for everything you've done for me and helping me out as well along the way.
Don't be silly, man. I'm looking forward to the podcast as well.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Lovely. Cheers,
God
Rob.
bless you.
Take care,
Thank you.
man.